So as I look around and I look back and look forward, one of the things that I've struggled with, one of the concepts I've struggled with is in the sort of a presuppositional way or heuristic-based way of looking at the world and making decisions about the way the world should be or ought to be, and the way things ought to be or should be or could be, based largely upon bias, my own bias. And an example, this is perhaps a less philosophical example, but I think a good example nonetheless, is where I live. And I had a few years ago a beloved family member of mine came down to visit, and he was commenting about looking around. He was actually trying to make another point, but the point incorporated his assessment of the environment. He said, "Look around at this barren, lifeless desert," and he was comparing that to certain people and how they may look at the world based on a way that was not consistent with his particular dogmatic or faith-based view of the world. And in this video, I'm not here to discuss faith and dogma and that, and perhaps I will in other videos, but it really got me to thinking that sometimes what you see is not always what you get, and I think that's certainly the case when it comes to the Southwest, where you look around and you see desert, but you need only get off the beaten path a little bit, and you need only spend a little time living in this area of the world to appreciate that expectation and reality can be very different. And that is certainly the case today, a spring afternoon in the southwestern United States, where in fact I am hiking through a canyon in the middle of the desert, and I have running water, and it is raining quite consistently now, which means that I am going to be quite damp when I get back from my hike. But that's okay. I rather expected that. So as I continue in these videos, a lesson that I've had to learn, and often painfully and embarrassingly, is the lesson that sometimes when I look at somebody or a situation, sometimes I can't, or I have to resist that urge to axiomatically make assertions or definitive decisions about how things may work out, or how a person may or may not be, or how environment may or may not be, based on a flash snap judgment or kind of a heuristic way of looking at the world, where here it's always the desert, so that is how it must be, lifeless and dry and arid and without any beauty. And that's certainly not the case if you're able to open your mind a little bit and appreciate the innate beauty, and to appreciate the cycles that can occur, and the idiosyncrasies, and you can bask in the beauty of rain occurring when rain doesn't normally occur. And I suppose that's probably the case where perhaps there's an area where somebody lives where it rains quite a bit, and perhaps they appreciate the beauty of a warm, dry day that's sunny, where I may not have that same appreciation. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong or right, or that person's wrong or right, but it certainly means that looking at situations can be a lot more complex than we might initially suppose. And that's really the only point I'm making. There's nothing really profound about that point. I think it makes a lot of sense to most of us, but I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself when I say that that point is often forgotten in my day-to-day life, and it really takes coming out here and having these experiences to kind of say, hey, Chris, come on now. And that's all I want to say. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great day wherever you may be, doing whatever you may be doing.